Hey guys, Zazubaar here. This is just going to be a brief explanation for the video you're about to watch. Okay, so on my channel, I already announced this series coming in the last update video. Super DM64 and I did a 7-part series on all of the Dragon Ball Z movies, including the TV specials and those weird anniversary made in Japan stuff. We reviewed all of it, and we recorded all of it way in advance before it was going to be posted, and it was supposed to start being posted this past Monday, which Super DM started to do. He posted episodes 1 through 4 with no problems whatsoever. Then, on Thursday night, he sends me, we start talking, and apparently he gets a copyright strike on an old video of his just because, and ironically enough, it was a Dragon Ball Z video, not one of the reviews. He posted a scene from one of the movies, promoting the movie, and it got a copyright strike, and it got taken down. Now, I've had this problem in the past as well, but usually what happens for me is the video will be blocked worldwide, and I will be able to remove it myself, removing the copyright strike. So I don't have this, so I'll lose my ability to upload unlimited length videos, but I gain it back by deleting the video. So I told Dillion to do this, and he did it, but the copyright strike remained. There was a difference this time. YouTube has updated their copyright stuff. So, now, you can't just delete the video and get rid of the copyright strike. You have to... the copyright strike stays, and the only way to get rid of it is to wait 6 months after completing something so aptly titled Copyright School. Yes, this is a real thing. So, enjoy it, and, you know, you have to wait for 6 months before your YouTube channel will be reverted back to its original good standing state, and you can start uploading 6 unlimited length videos again. So, it's terrible, it sucks balls, but you gotta deal with it. So, Dillion is not able to upload anything unlimited length for the next... I guess until... I think he worked it out. I think it was February. He can't upload unlimited length videos again. So, fuck that. So, we've decided, since all of our Dragon Ball Z movie reviews are at least an hour long, to upload them on my channel, because I, at the current moment, still have unlimited length runtime on videos. So, the rest of the series will be posted here on Zazubaar, which is going to cause some weirdness, which is why I'm doing this disclaimer. All of the videos are hosted by Dillion. So that's one thing. The second thing is there are mentions of subscribe... You know, just the way the video works, it's with the understanding that it was supposed to go on his channel. So the other big problem with that is the last video. Because the last, like, 5 minutes of it is basically a big advertisement for subscribing to me. So, it's weird to watch in context now because it's on my channel. So, it really should be working for Super DM. So, when you hear the last episode and you hear that part, you're going to have to excuse how, like, arrogant it sounds, because it wasn't meant to sound that way, because it was supposed to be on Super DM64's channel and not here. So, I apologize for that. It's going to sound a little weird. It's not going to work the same way, but the review itself will be intact, because it's just us discussing the movies. So, there you go. That's really the only disclaimers I want to throw out there, just that these were supposed to go on Dillion's channel, but they didn't. Now, here's the last thing I'll mention, and this is in the description, so go check out there, but I'll put a little annotation up here, too. We're not posting the episodes that already got posted on Zazubaar. We're only posting the ones that didn't get posted. So, the first 4 episodes went through fine, so they're on Dillion's channel if you want to get caught up with our thoughts on... Well, excuse me, with our thoughts on the series. So, Dillion has made a playlist for you where you can watch all 4 episodes and get ready for the stuff that's going to be posted here. Again, that's the first 4 episodes. That's everything up to the Broly movies. So, you can check out those 4 episodes by clicking here. This is the playlist. So just go ahead and click the screen for to jump right to the playlist and get caught up on those 4 episodes. If you can't, if you're a mobile user and you can't use annotations on the screen, go ahead and check down in the description box. There is a link there as well, so go check that out. Let's go get caught up on the DBZ movie reviews. Without any further rambling and without any further explanation, I would like to welcome you to the rest of Super DM64 and Zazubaar's DBZ movie reviews. Enjoy.
Dragon Ball Z. Dragon, rock, dragon, come. Dragon Ball Z. Dragon, rock, dragon Ball Z. Dragon, rock, dragon, come. Get me. Dragon, rock, dragon Ball Z. Rock the dragon, come, get it,
Hello YouTube, and welcome to part 5 of our DBZ movie review thing. With me again, as always, is Zazubaar.
Hello, everyone.
And today we're going to talk about Fusion Reborn and Wrath of the Dragon, as well as another movie that I'm going to keep as a surprise until we get to it. So I guess we'll just jump right into it. So Fusion Reborn. What'd you think?
Fusion Reborn is actually a really nostalgic one for me because at the time I thought it was the last new Dragon Ball Z movie. I thought that everything else had been done. And I was not aware of Wrath of the Dragon or what was the other one that I didn't know about. There was another one, and Bio Broly. This one was really nostalgic for me because I thought I had completed everything that DBZ had to offer, and I was really excited and proud of myself. The title is a bit weird because, Fusion, they did Fusion in the show in the Buu Saga with Gotenks, and then they did it with with Vegito, which is using the Patera earrings and not the Fusion dance.
Right.
Which I always found weird that they would do both of those concepts in the same season.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why don't Goku and Vegeta just use the Fusion dance? I mean, it's just like, really? But the title of this movie is mainly to be that this is the first time Goku and Vegeta are going to naturally fuse without the use of the earrings, and I suppose that's why it's called that. But I always found the title a little weird.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see your point on that. The thing about Fusion Reborn that I like, obviously neither of us are too fond of the Buu Saga for
no, not really,
for various reasons. And I mean, we've already said all we can about that earlier in the series. But the good thing about Fusion Reborn is it kind of feels like all the best parts of the Buu Saga just condensed. And I know one of the things I've complained about with some of the other movies is that they just feel like that saga condensed. But I don't mind.
And this one feels the most like that, but it's not really a problem.
Yeah, I don't mind it in this case. Probably, again, because we don't care for the Buu Saga, but I don't...
Yeah, I mean, Janemba is fucking Buu. I mean...
Basically, yeah.
I mean, he's almost the same character and goes through the same transformation. Starts out as this big, fat, dumb monster, and then turns into this unstoppable badass. That being said, Janemba's second form, fucking awesome.
Fucking awesome, yes.
I had this guy as a toy, and oh my god, is he badass.
I did too. I had this little, those little bitty Dragon Ball Z figures that would be like 2 inches high.
Yeah, I had those with Marvel too. I used to make them fight.
I had him, and it was like holding the sword, and it was amazing. And then
I had a bigger one, but it came with and it was weird. It actually came with Super Saiyan Goku from the Frieza saga, which is weird.
And the weird thing is, I had one of his first form too, and I had no idea that they were the same character until I saw the movie. Because
we've always been kind of talking about how much these movies feel like a Dragon Ball Z cinematic experience.
Mm-hmm.
And similar to Cooler's Revenge and Broly, this one holds up fairly well in that regard. It feels like a movie.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
And it's weird because we talked about with Cooler's Revenge and Broly how they of all the DBZ movies they feel the most like movies, but their stakes are not the highest the series has ever been. The stakes in this one are really, really high.
Yeah, I might even argue these are some of the highest stakes in the entire series, maybe the highest.
Yeah, because here's the thing: it's not just the Earth that's in danger; it's all, and not just the universe; it's all of reality itself.
Yeah, it's just falling apart because of this creature.
Right, and how it destroyed. The particulars are a little complicated. Essentially, there's this machine that channels soul energy, basically, I think.
It's all like the negative energy of everybody that gets sent down to hell is collected in this thing. I don't know why.
Yeah, and this kid who's running it, and he's one of those demon guys with the horns. He's listening to music loudly, and his supervisor comes down and is just like, turn it down, and he's just like, aw. And he's just like, listen, I was a kid once like you. I remember what it's like to be at a job and stuff. Just turn it down a little bit. You can still listen to it. Just turn it down. Like that scene a lot.
Yeah.
And then he fucks up and the thing explodes and gets all over him and doesn't kill him. It turns him into this thing called Jamemba, which is, again, basically Boo.
Basically. It's a big yellow Boo, and I mean big. This thing is huge.
Yeah, I mean it makes Majin Buu look like a baby. It's really big.
In its first form, I'd say Janemba is probably almost as tall as an Ozaru.
Yeah.
And then when he transforms, he becomes normal sized. But yeah, for the majority of the movie, he's gigantic.
Right, and also something we should point out is that this movie takes place during or after the Buu saga. It's really confusing because Goku and Vegeta are both dead.
Mm-hmm. Again,
Yet
continuity.
Goku mentions. Here's the kicker. Goku directly mentions Majin Buu.
Right.
So it's really weird. They should not have even mentioned it because he goes Super Saiyan 3 in order to take on Jamemba. And he says, you should be honored. This is the only time I've ever taken this form except for when I fought Majin Buu. And I'm just like, wait, you and Vegeta are both dead. The Buu saga is still fucking going on. Gohan's...
And it's weird to take a break from the Buu saga to have this battle with Janemba.
Because Buu is, like, there's nothing going on Earth. Everyone's just having a peaceful day. I mean, Gohan's being Great Saiyaman. He's going out with Videl. They're having dinner at his house, and that's about it. I mean, the Buu saga is clearly not going on, so the continuity in this movie of all of them is the most fucked. But yeah, it's weird. But yes, Vegeta is dead as well, which is a big deal because they say this in the show. When he died, his past was so evil that he would not be allowed to keep his physical body when he went up to Otherworld. And that's shown in this movie because basically everyone in hell gets their body back.
Yeah,
and he's one of them.
Because of Janemba's craziness.
Yeah, exactly. So here's the cool thing. Guess who fucking comes back? Frieza.
Yes.
And it is one of the coolest scenes in all of Dragon Ball Z because it makes the most sense. Because Frieza has this moment where she whatever it is, looks at Gohan and just goes, "Who are you?" And Gohan explains to Frieza what that that he's a Saiyan, and then B, that he's Gohan, that he's Goku's son. And Frieza's like, "You're that little brat from Namek!" And then he just punches Frieza in the stomach, which he's so powerful now, it just causes Frieza to explode.
Yeah.
I thought that was one of the best scenes in the whole movie because it showed it was in continuity. It was definitely in line with the show because they've become so powerful now that it makes Frieza look like a weakling.
Yeah, that's one of the aspects of it that really worked is that they show just how more powerful they are than these past villains now.
Yes, I do wish that there were more of them. Now here's the thing, this happened in the show too. There was a scene in the Buu saga where Goku and Pikkon went down to hell and fought Frieza and Cell.
Right.
And they beat them very easily. So this movie, again, just constantly rips off the Boo Saga.
Which
Now,
speaking of which, another thing I like about this movie is that they bring back PyCon.
yes, Pycon is in this as well, and he's really good in it too. And then another scene lifted from the Boo Saga, him and Goku are fighting at the other world tournament. And they basically do the same thing. They go to the ceiling and they get kicked out of the tournament. Another thing I really like about this movie is all the different Kais are hilarious.
Yeah.
This is the first time we've seen them in the movies, and they're all great.
Yeah, first and only time any of them have been in the movies other than King Kai, obviously.
Yes, exactly. And we won't see them again. And they're fucking hysterical. Their chemistry is great.
Yeah, that's one thing about this movie that I really like is that in the show you have this whole like rich universe just involving the afterlife itself. The way that it works after you die in DBZ is very well explored in the show, and it's something that you don't really get to see a lot of in the movies. Mm-hmm. And in this one, the majority of the movie takes place in that part of the DBZ universe.
Right. Exactly. So Goku is sent to fight Janemba, and so is Pycon, but Pycon has to deal with the fact that King Yema's office thing is covered in the negative energy. And you break it by yelling at it.
Yeah.
Which was something I think they also did in the show in some regard. I don't remember.
Here's my question: if it's made out of negative energy, why is insulting it detrimental to it?
I don't know. Just go with it. It doesn't make any sense, but it's DBZ, so very little of it does.
And then, of course, later on in the movie, we find out that Janemba has the same weakness. And it's like, well, why don't you just defeat him that way?
Yeah, but instead they have to fuse. This movie, it makes a really big deal out of the fusion in its title, but it doesn't come up until the last 10 minutes.
Yeah, that's one of the things that sort of disappointed me about it the first time I saw it, is that just how little screen time we get out of Gogeta. And I mean, the part when he's on screen, he's amazing.
Yeah, but he's only on... Okay, the fusion is brought up in the last 10 minutes, and Gogeta is on screen for maybe 2 minutes.
And he does this really cool attack that I'm not really sure how to put into words, and then he's gone.
Yeah, and I do like the epic reveal. Well, okay, 2 minutes of screen time is not fair because we get to see the fat version of him for a minute.
Yeah, that's true. We do have Fat Gogeta, which is another way that they ripped off the Boo Saga. I'm surprised they didn't go for Skinny Gogeta too, because they did the same thing with Gotenks. They had all these failed versions of Gotenks.
Exactly, yeah. And here's the other thing. So guess how Fat Gogeta fights Janemba? By farting at him.
Yes.
And
because
you would think that in a DBZ movie it would be really stupid. But it's played for laughs, and it's actually really funny. But only because of the commentary that the Kais provide. Just because of how, vehemently King Kai is just screaming at Gogeta, "Use the gas! Use the gas!" It's really funny. I think that's something in this movie that we should mention, is that the comedy is really strong.
Yeah, it's I wouldn't say it's like Android 13. In Android 13, it just didn't take itself seriously, and that's where the comedy came from. In this, I don't know, I guess it feels more natural. Mm-hmm. They never really have...
Yeah, it's comic relief to a T.
They never really do anything like they did in 13, where they just sort of attack the fourth wall.
Yeah, exactly. Not until the fish jumps. It's over.
Yeah.
Nothing like that in this movie. But Goku and Vegeta's chemistry is also really well done, both in terms of comedy but also in terms of drama, because this is after they had kind of cemented their friendship.
Yeah.
When Vegeta shows up, it's fairly he's not Cell Saga Vegeta, where his whole thing is, I'm gonna beat this bad guy up because he's gonna kill Goku and that's my job. It's because friends. And Vegeta, what I always loved about Vegeta is that didn't change his character so much, where he's still not Vegeta, he's still fucking Vegeta.
Oh yeah, if he ever got it in his head that he needed to beat up Kakarot, he would still give it a shot.
Oh yeah, I mean that's still in this movie. That's still mentioned. But all the bits with Goku and Vegeta trying to find out different ways to take down Janemba, it's even better than it is in the Buu Saga.
Oh yeah.
Now, the Buu Saga had the token of having that amazing fight between Majin Vegeta and Super Saiyan 2 Goku.
Right.
But this has it's as Dylan mentioned earlier, a lot more condensed, and it's able to get across all the same notes of their newfound friendship in a much shorter amount of time, and in a much more emotional amount of time, because Vegeta is legitimately depressed about the state he found himself in another world.
Right, and when you were talking about the comedy, all the stuff in this where Goku is trying to convince him to do the fusion dance,
it's great.
and Vegeta doesn't want to do the fusion dance because it looks stupid.
Yeah, I mean, it's really funny, especially when Vegeta's just like, "We're warriors, Kakarot, not dancers," and Goku's just like, "Well, there's nobody out here. No one's gonna see us."
Yeah.
It's almost like, it's so funny, because it's almost just like, Vegeta's taking it so lightly, and Goku's just like... See, this is one of those moments that I like where Goku shows how much of a smart fighter he is, because he's teaching Vegeta, this epic all-warrior, how to do something.
Right.
And it's always something about their relationship I always liked whenever Goku taught Vegeta a new move. I always liked that.
Yeah, because, again, you had something similar to this in the Majin Buu saga, except it wasn't about how the dance looked stupid, it was about how Vegeta just didn't want to share a body with Goku.
Though that had one of the greatest lines in the whole show, where Vegeta was just like, "Kakarot, I'd rather be beaten to a pulp by Super Buu than be one with you."
Yeah, and
that's one of my favorite lines in the whole show.
And in that, I guess his complaints are a little bit more justified, just because with the Pitar earrings, it's supposed to be permanent. And
right, exactly.
And if they hadn't been eaten by Buu, they would have stayed Vegito forever.
Which would have been hilarious, because Vegito is... See, Gogeta is a lot more of a silent badass. Vegito's a talker.
Oh, yeah.
So they're not the same character.
I think Vegito got... And it, I guess that makes sense, because his name comes first in it. But Vegito got a little bit more of Vegeta's personality. And
then Gogeta's a lot more Goku's.
Yeah.
Now, it's weird, because excuse me. Because I find, and I'll bring up GT briefly, I find Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta to be a lot more like Vegito.
Yeah, well, obviously.
Well, at least in how much he talks. I mean, his sense of humor is fucking Goku's.
Yeah.
But even Goku is not one to make clown gestures in battle.
No.
It's kind of a mix between Goku's lighthearted personality, and to be fair, Goku's character went through a change as he got older. So I mean, that's definitely fair. But it was still a little weird because Gogeta was so quiet in Fusion Reborn. It's also really weird how much of the movies GT put in continuity, Gogeta being one of them.
Yeah, Gogeta.
Trunks' sword. There's other stuff too. I mean, Super 17 is kind of just a redub of Super 13.
Kind of, sort of, yeah. Even to the point where it's two versions of 17 fusing, which are
exactly. That's yeah.
Not nearly as cool as 13 though.
No, not at all. Because it was like... Because wasn't it like one of them was the human, one of them was another android? It was weird. Super 17 was such a weird concept. Design was okay, though.
What it was is Jiro and Mew met in Hell.
Dr. Mew was the Tuffle, right?
Yeah. They met in Hell, and they built another 17.
The one with the trench coat.
Yeah, and then it fused with the others. I don't remember how they managed to build one while they were in Hell, or how they sent him to Earth. Maybe because he wasn't dead, he just got to leave. I don't know.
Yeah, who knows? Hell in GT looks bizarre. Because Goku goes down there and fights Cell and Frieza again, ripping off the Buu Saga.
Right.
And it's a decent scene. I just wish it wasn't Kid Goku.
Yeah. One of the entertaining things about this movie, since we're talking about how Hell looks, is how Janemba just like affects the environment around him. Hell's got like bubbles floating everywhere.
Yeah, Hell looks weird. I mean, here's another thing we haven't mentioned yet. The animation in this movie is fucking spectacular.
Oh yeah, really good animation.
It looks amazing.
The word that I used with Cooler's Revenge was that it looked polished. With this, I would say even more so.
Oh yeah, it's gorgeous. I mean, just the design of Otherworld is really telling of that. It's just these elaborate, imaginative visuals. The glass is really well done.
Oh yeah, it's very reflective.
It gives off these really bright spectrum of colors. The backdrops are very imaginative. Jamemba himself is a really good design. I'm mainly talking about the second transformation form, because the first one, again, it's basically Boo.
Basically.
The second form looks a lot different.
I do like him a little bit better though, just because Fat Janemba's not wearing a diaper.
Oh sure, yeah, totally. He also doesn't talk as much.
Right.
He just says Jamemba, Jamemba,
which is kind of
I don't know where the name comes from, but whatever.
I don't either.
I mean, he just says it. It's almost like Hulk. It's like, at least the Hulk got called Hulk before he started using it for his own name.
If they would, here's how I would have explained it if I was the one writing this. I would have just had the kid, the demon kid that got turned into Janemba, just have that be his actual name. So it's just part of his, personality leaking through or something.
Or, even if it's, his middle name or his nickname or something. I don't know.
Right. That would be
something like that, because the name comes out of nowhere.
Yeah, that would be the simplest way to explain it. Just be like, oh, it's that kid's name. So.
Also, I like how I love the scene where Gogeta beats the crap out of Jamemba and he doesn't kill him.
Yeah.
He just he turns back into the kid, and the kid takes one look at Gogeta and just starts running.
Yeah, one theme, and this is just a visual theme that they took from Boo, is that for some reason, because Janemba is made out of pure negative energy. For some reason, in the later DBZ universe, evil looks adorable.
Right?
It's like...
Or has adorable names, like Baby.
Yeah. It's like, okay, we're going to make this evil creature, and it's going to be the cutest fucking thing you ever saw.
Yeah, and you also have all the villains in the early GT saga.
Yeah.
Which was terrible.
Absolutely terrible. People, I'm just going to say this right now. Don't watch GT.
You know what? If you're curious, just watch this. Okay, just watch the fight between Super Saiyan 4 Goku and Baby.
Yeah, because that's
all you need to watch.
That's pretty good. That's probably the closest to it feeling like DBZ as it gets.
And even then, Super Saiyan 4 Goku should be so much more powerful than he actually is. He should be like a fucking god.
Yeah, you don't get the same sense of power off of him that you do off of Super Saiyan 3.
I mean, because they shot themselves in the foot with it, because they made the original Super Saiyan level so fucking powerful that it was able to shake the earth.
So now it's like,
and then when you get to Super Saiyan 4, it's like this shouldn't even be comprehensible by humans.
No.
Because of just how powerful it should really be. Also, how the fuck's the old Kai knows what a Super Saiyan 4 is? Because they say in Dragon Ball Z that no one ever even got to Super Saiyan 3.
Right. I'm assuming.
Goku was the first one to even go to Super Saiyan 2.
Gohan.
Oh, well, yeah, but Goku goes to Ascended Saiyan first. So, he introduces the concept.
Yeah, he's the one that pioneers the idea of, hey, what if we could go beyond Super Saiyan?
Right. And then, old Kai in GT is just like, oh, there's this other level called Super Saiyan 4. I'm just like, no, fuck you. No one ever even got to normal Super Saiyan, so this is just not possible.
Yeah, see the thing about GT, and this is mostly with the Baby Saga and with this stuff near the end, because we've already talked about how Super 17 really isn't that interesting.
That's really...
It has some cool ideas, because Baby's an interesting idea for a villain, and having him possess Vegeta's body is an interesting idea. I don't know why Vegeta looks so fucking weird after he gets possessed, but that's a design problem.
Right? Because no one else looks that weird because Goten gets possessed early on, and he looks normal. Vegeta looks like a different character.
Well, I think the idea is that when Baby possessed the other people, he was just sort of using them for the moment, and when he possessed Vegeta, I guess he decided he was going to keep that one, so he started to make it more of a permanent home for himself.
Right.
But
I mean, the other thing is, I wish that we would have gotten to see more of normal Baby, because he had a cool design.
Yeah, he really did. The stuff when he first arrives on Earth is pretty good. There's an episode where he first arrives on Earth and I think he fights Goten first. is actually not bad. But anyway, yes.
Yeah, Goten getting to do anything in GT is awesome.
Yeah. So again, I don't know why they didn't have him go up into space with Trunks and Goku instead of Pan. Don't invent another character. I didn't care for Pan.
I mean, Pan was in Z, but at least she was a kid.
Yeah.
And I mean, I like the idea of Gohan having a daughter who has the same arc as he did when he was a kid. But it's, you know, she's made worse because Goku's a kid at the same time. I think that her being around an older Goku would have been cooler.
They made her.
See, here's the thing.
Was it just me, or did she come off as a little annoying?
Oh, absolutely, she came off as annoying.
Yeah.
See, because GT is so fucking Americanized that, like, you can see so many American cartoon tropes in GT that was in no other Dragon Ball property. And that's because it was made after Z got really popular in America.
Yeah, so it was like, hey, we got to make this more American so the Americans will buy more of it in America.
And it actually kind of worked, too, which is sad. GT was really popular.
I know, and I never understood why. But yeah, some of the ideas that they have with Baby is really good, and then the idea for the Shadow Dragons is genius.
Yeah, and the concept that the Dragon Balls need more than a year to recharge is interesting, too, because it makes sense. Sure, you can use them every year, but just like a cell phone, you can use a cell phone at 10% battery, but it's not going to work as well. And the more you do it that way, the crappier it's going to work.
Right.
So it's the same thing with the Dragon Balls. They need 100 years to be totally purified.
Right, and that's a really interesting concept.
Right.
Boy, do they fuck it up.
Oh, they fuck it up royally. Yeah. Here's the thing. This is the last thing I'll say about GT. The most interesting part about the whole series to me was seeing old, grizzled Goku.
Yeah.
We get to see for about 2 minutes.
And then he's gone.
Well, here's my point. You see him when he goes. You see that version of Goku when he goes Super Saiyan 4.
Right.
That's why the best scenes in GT were always when Goku was Super Saiyan 4. Because you get to see what Goku's like when he's old. And he's kind of been around the universe fighting.
Yeah.
Kid Goku is so been there, fucking done that.
Yep.
It's like, no, he's not interesting. We like the old Goku because he's cool. He's a badass. Because Goku has never been old. He's always been a kid, even at heart.
Mm-hmm.
Even when he was a man. Now we get to see Goku legit old.
Yeah,
and it's awesome.
At the beginning of GT, when he's just like, oops, master, he's finally sort of settled down and become the sort of the mentor type character, and then when he gets turned into a kid, for some reason that goes out the window. You know, it's the same problem I had with Slug back in Lord Slug. Just because your body is younger.
Right. I mean, the Doctor is the perfect example of how that doesn't make sense. I mean, the Doctor is this ancient being who acts like one, but he always looks young.
Right.
And with GT, again, the moments where it's at its best is when Goku is Super Saiyan 4. And that's at its best when he's fighting Baby, because...
And when they're throwing out good concepts, because they have some good concepts.
Right. So I'm going to say, if you're going to watch anything, just watch Goku's fight with Baby as a Super Saiyan 4. That's the only good part of the whole show.
Mm-hmm.
Everything else is utter shit. Even the last fight with Omega Shenron isn't terrible, but again... It's so fucking slow, and the concept of Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta makes no sense.
Right. And
how the fuck can Vegeta go Super Saiyan 4 if he never reached Super Saiyan 3?
Right. You got to take baby steps.
That, and also, because they point out the problem, they shot themselves in the foot again. So, fucking, in the show, Bulma's just like, oh, but it's weird because you turned into a giant ape on Tuffle too, but you didn't go Super Saiyan 4. I'm like shouting at the TV because he wasn't a Super Saiyan 3, bitch.
Yeah.
That's why he didn't transform.
That's the thing, and then they come up with some scientific-y bullshit reason to make
that makes no sense.
None whatsoever.
Anyway, wow, that was an interesting rant.
Yeah, about GT of all things. I had one more thing to say, and I'm trying to think what it was. Oh, yeah. That last fight with Omega Shenron isn't bad, but this is all I'm going to say about it. Guess how they beat him.
Yeah. You know, Dylan's problem with Lord Slug is in this, too. Guess how they fucking beat him. Or my problem with Majin Buu. Fucking spirit bomb.
They use a spirit bomb. I don't mind the spirit bomb, but the spirit bomb does not work anymore.
The spirit bomb couldn't kill Frieza. How can it kill Omega Shenron, who is supposed to be the most powerful opponent Goku has ever fought? And how can Goku do it at normal state? As a fucking kid.
Yep.
I also never even liked how Goku could go through all his Super Saiyan stages as a kid anyway.
Yeah.
I thought that made no sense.
I mean, fair enough, but I didn't think it was a big problem just because they'd already had Goten and Trunks doing that.
Right, but here's the other thing. How come when he goes Super Saiyan 4 he's an adult?
That is an excellent question, because Super Saiyan 4 kid would look stupid.
Well, fair enough, but
So did Super
by the
Saiyan
same
3 kid.
What?
So did him as a Super Saiyan 3 kid look kind of stupid.
Oh, it looked retarded, because it's like a kid with no eyebrows always looks disturbing.
I mean, I didn't mind it when Gotenks went Super Saiyan 3 as much, because I thought it made sense since you had these two people, and it was supposed to be like their powers combined, so it's like he would be able to do that because he's more powerful than both of them put together.
Right, and he also Goku taught him how to go Super Saiyan 3.
Yeah.
On screen. It's just retarded.
So, yeah.
Anyway, so I like Fusion Reborn.
Yeah, back to Fusion Reborn. Let's see what.
Also, by that same token, Goten and Trunks fighting Nazis is hilarious.
Yes, there are Nazis in this movie, people. If you like Nazis,
well, if you like seeing Nazis get their asses handed to them, this movie is for you.
If you're a DBZ fan who also enjoys Nazis and you have not seen Fusion Reborn, there's your reason to go watch it. Although
you get to see Goten and Trunks just beating the shit out of Nazis.
Or you could just go watch Dragon Ball, because the Red Ribbon Army always came off to me as a little Nazi-ish.
Right, but these are legit. Hitler is in it. I mean, you see him.
Which is weird because DBZ cannot even take place in our world.
Right, but they don't explicitly say that. You can infer that they're Nazis based on both the caricature of Hitler,
yeah,
but also the symbols, obviously. But they don't call them Nazis and they don't call him Hitler. You're supposed to assume.
Yeah,
I think they just call him the dictator.
It's not like Trunks looks at him and says, "Hey, look, it's Hitler."
No, he just says it's the dictator.
Let's go kill Hitler.
Dun 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 dun.
So yeah, Doctor Who reference.
Let's kill Hitler. I like Fusion Reborn.
Yeah, I enjoy Fusion Reborn as well.
I think my biggest problem with it is that it's really, and again, this works in that the Buu Saga sucks anyway, but it is extremely derivative of the Buu Saga, and it works sometimes, but not all the time.
Right. The animation is great. The fighting scenes are pretty good.
The fight scenes are awesome. Vegeta's characterization is top notch. Even
though Gogeta isn't in it long enough. Let's talk about his attack that he kills Janemba with. Apparently, it's some sort of thing that makes all the negative energy that Janemba has, because he's made out of pure negative energy. It turns it against him or something.
Which is what causes him to revert back to the kid, and which saves reality somehow.
So I guess it makes sense.
Here's the thing.
I guess it makes sense in terms of what the explanation was for Janemba.
I suppose. Now I also like how I was gonna say this. That attack is in the video games and it's fucking useless.
Yeah.
It doesn't do shit. But I also love how big they treat Gogeta's entrance.
Oh, yeah.
You just see a wave of energy going up.
Oh, yeah, there's just this...
It's also rainbow shit around. It's awesome.
I was going to put it in the intro for the show, but I ran out of space. But I do have the actual shot of them doing the dance. But anyway, there's just this pillar of golden energy pouring up into the heavens.
Right, exactly.
And it looks amazing. It's probably one of the best scenes of just one of them, or in this case both of them, having a badass moment since Goku absorbed the Spirit Bomb in Android 13.
Yeah, it's that level. I mean, it's that level of just insane energy.
Yeah.
It's a really cool scene. I just wish it was longer.
Yeah, we needed more Gogeta in this movie. It was the whole reason I watched it.
Exactly, yeah. But by that same token, this movie is really well paced.
Mm-hmm.
It's not too fast. It's not too slow. It's perfect. It's perfectly paced. It's just like Cool Wars Revenge. It feels like a movie, but it's not insanely long. It's about the same length as the Cooler movie. It's about 50 minutes, and it works really well. It's a really good movie. One of the best of the DBZ movies.
And they brought back PyCon, and I'm always up for that. Okay, so
yeah, PyCon's awesome.
PyCon is he supposed to be a Namek?
No,
I didn't think so.
he's supposed to be something else. He's not a Namek.
Because I remember one time when I was little hearing somebody say that he was supposed to be a Namek, and my whole life I've been looking at him and thinking he does not look enough like a Namek to be a Namek.
I think they do explain what he is at some point, but I forget. Now, here's my question. How pissed must he have been at Goku when Goku got to go back to life and he didn't?
Right.
Because Goku's like his pal in fucking Otherworld, and then he just vanishes.
Here's the problem, and here's why it's so not fair. While Goku and Vegeta were doing the fusion dance, the only reason they had time to do that is because PyCon was over there getting his ass handed to him by Janemba.
Yeah, exactly.
So he deserved to get something in the end.
Yeah, exactly. Also, Vegeta's last moment is heartbreaking.
Yeah.
When he just looks at Goku and smiles and then vanishes, and then Goku says, "Goodbye, old friend." I love that scene. It's fucking awesome.
Yeah, it's a great sort of exit for Vegeta. Like, if this was the last time we saw Vegeta, I wouldn't mind it, because it's...
I wouldn't mind it either, just because they had cemented their friendship.
Yeah.
Because that was always my problem. Or not my problem. That was always the thing about their relationship that always made me happy that it continued as long as it did. We got to see them go full circle from bitter enemies to best friends.
Yeah, and I mean, they were the ones that took the longest. Goku has this weird habit.
All of his friends started out as enemies.
Yeah, he has this weird habit.
Including his wife.
Including his wife. Yeah.
Everyone started out as an enemy.
I mean, even kind of sort of Bulma, because he blew up her car.
And she shot him.
So...
I mean, and even Master Roshi to a degree, because he comes off as a prick at first.
Yeah. You got Bulma, you got Oolong, you got Yamcha, you got, of course, later on you have Tien and Piccolo.
Krillin starts out as an enemy.
Yeah, they don't actually like fight each other, but they have a rivalry going on.
But they're bitter rivals. I mean, Krillin wants to leave Goku in the dust.
Good job.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
So
I mean, I wish Kid Krillin could go into the future to see how fucking far Goku goes, and Krillin's just like nothing.
Yeah, and it's like they had this idea all throughout Dragon Ball that we'll have a character that starts out as an enemy and then have them be his friend, and they only really do it once in Dragon Ball Z with Vegeta, and I think it's the best way. It's the best time that they've ever done it. Right,
because Vegeta is because here's the thing, Piccolo. I mean, I guess Piccolo too, because he was at the beginning of DBZ. He became Goku's anti-hero enemy, friend. But Piccolo, you got the sense that he never really had that big of a bone to pick with Goku, because Goku beat him in the martial arts tournament, and he's like, I don't really care.
Yeah, it's like, okay, you beat me, that's fair enough.
And then they become best friends. But, with Vegeta was evil. Legit evil.
Just downright evil. And I mean... And part of it is because they take more time to develop him. He has the entirety of Dragon Ball Z, where each time Goku made a friend out of an enemy in Dragon Ball, it was like, okay, we're your friend now. Let's go.
Vegeta, and even though Vegeta and him are definitely friends in GT, even then it's not like Vegeta's not all buddy-buddy with Goku.
Oh no, never.
It's never. He's never even buddy-buddy with his fucking wife. I mean,
Vegeta just doesn't get buddy-buddy.
No, not at all. You can't be close to Vegeta. I mean, he smiles only when he's about to kill someone.
Exactly. And it's not even like a happy smile. It's like a, oh yes, you're gonna die.
I mean, he hugs his son once in the whole show, and never, ever shares any intimate moment with Bulma.
And the hugging his son is, of course, just so he can have a golden opportunity to knock him out.
Right, but I mean, he did it because he thought it was the last time he was going to see him. But so he definitely hugged him with intention, and he does it's not like he doesn't give a fuck about Bulma. He one of the first things he says to Trunks is take care of your mother, but it's like when he comes back to life, and Bulma has that moment where she just cries her eyes out when Goku tells her he's dead. Vegeta, when he comes back to life, he just walks over into a corner and does the same old thing of just scowling like fucking Batman.
Right. I mean, and part of it is, that he was actually raised on planet Vegeta with the Saiyans. So it's like,
Yeah, of course, yeah.
he doesn't really have a concept of affection.
Right, and he gets one over time. Like, I think the closest thing he ever gets to it is his daughter.
Right.
I would say that, there's especially that, I love that scene where he's driving, and this is, again, the best parts of GT are with Vegeta.
Oh, yeah.
Except his design sucks.
Whether he's possessed or not. Yeah, his hair was way too short in GT.
And he says he cut it, but I'm like, wait. But in Z, he specifically says that Saiyans can't cut their hair.
Does he?
Yeah. There's the scene in the Cell Saga where he gets out and Trunks' hair is long. And Gohan's hair is long, but him and Goku's hair remain the same over the course of a year. And Bulma asks why, and Vegeta's like, because a Saiyan's hair never grows so we can fight longer.
Oh. I forgot about that line.
So,
I mean,
I guess facial hair is different because King Vegeta has a mustache.
I guess so. And then you got Nappa with his mustache. I'm assuming he wasn't born with the stash.
But also, that's also wrong because Nappa has hair in a flashback.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, maybe they can develop male pattern baldness.
But also Nappa really struck me as a pureblood Saiyan anyway, because it's like, that dude could never go Super Saiyan. Though, I sent this really funny picture to Dillion 2 nights ago where I showed him what Super Saiyan Nappa would look like, and it was just him with this giant golden beard.
Oh, it was amazing. He looked like Anthony Hopkins Yoda, Odin.
Yeah, it looked diseased, though, because it was like... Because Super Saiyan hair is weird because it's like thick locks.
Yeah.
And it almost looks like it almost looks like a collection of golden tumors. It's kind of gross, but it's also awesome.
That Nappa, he uses a lot of product in that beard.
Anyway, so yeah, I like Fusion Reborn.
The thing, and it didn't even piss me off just because Vegeta cut his hair, and he's not supposed to. It's like, he's always had that hair.
Yep, even when he goes Super Saiyan, it doesn't change.
When you go back and watch Bardock, the father of Goku, and you see little kid Vegeta, which is one of the coolest things in that special, he's got the same hair.
Yep.
It's like the same size, which, I mean, it has to grow from like the time they're a baby to the time they're a little kid, because he can't have had that when he came out. But
Goku does.
Yeah, but it's not as big just because by virtue of his head isn't as big.
Right, but dude, how did Goku's mom squeeze that out?
I don't know.
Like, it must have gotten caught.
She's a Saiyan. She's very tough.
Oh, true. Well, my question is, like...
Wouldn't the easiest way be to give birth in the Uzaru form?
No. No.
I mean, assuming that the baby doesn't turn into a giant monkey as well.
Oh, of course, but, I mean, that doesn't make any sense. I mean, just no. Because
it has to come through the eyes. Like, you have to look at the full moon. It's not like the werewolf thing, you know?
Right. But there was something else I wanted to say about that. Oh, okay, so we talked about this at one point. Do Saiyans function like Kryptonians do in Man of Steel, or do they have biological parents who, like, get together? Because we never see Goku or Vegeta's mother.
We don't, but we do know that there are females.
Right, of course. I mean, there have to be, but...
And if it was like the Namekians, then you wouldn't really need females.
Well, they can't because they're mammals, but the Saiyan race is treated like almost like that Kryptonian society in Man of Steel, where it's everyone's engineered to do a job. The Saiyans just happen to all have the same job of being a warrior. But with the Saiyans, we never see Vegeta's mom, we never see Goku's mom, and they're never even mentioned. It's always Bardock and King Vegeta.
Right. I like to think that Vegeta's mom was just away in the palace somewhere, and that Goku's mom, it was just like a one-night stand.
Or she's dead.
Because she died in childbirth because of how big his hair is. That's why Bardock didn't want to go visit him.
Because he just had bad memories of Goku's hair killing her?
I mean, you'd think Raditz would have been the one to do it, but nope. It was Goku.
Yeah, do Goku and Raditz have the same mother?
I would.
They must, right? Because It's not like they say they're half brothers. They say they're legit biological brothers.
Unless the Saiyan society just doesn't have a concept of half brother.
Right, but I mean, I don't think that we're supposed to think about it that hard. I think it's supposed to be like, oh, they have the same mother too.
Well, I don't think we're supposed to think about it as hard to where we're like, hey, do they have mothers?
Well, but I mean, it's an interesting thought. It's not the same. Well, okay, if you're the writers, you've got to, of course, know that these things have to fuck something.
Yeah.
Because we see female Saiyans in Bardock, father of Goku.
Right, and we do know that the Saiyans have genitals that are comparable to our own.
Exactly. Well, it's clear that we both evolved from the same species. They just retained a lot more of the primate side.
Mm-hmm.
That's just what it is. So I think it's totally fine that, you know, because here's the thing. In Lois and Clark: The New Adventures of Superman, there's an entire season where Superman's trying to figure out if he can have a kid with Lois.
Mm.
So and that was an interesting thing to bring up because no other Superman continuity brings that up. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, they do.
I would be more worried about her just like dying during the conception.
Well, they say that Superman. Well, because by that same logic, Superman could never open a door.
Yeah.
He can control how much energy he puts into something.
Still, but when it comes to certain biological functions.
Right, but it can see. But here's the other thing. They bring this up in one of the continuities. I think it's the Dark Knight Returns continuity. That Lois died while carrying Superman's child because the baby kicked so hard it killed her.
Mm.
I don't remember which continuity that was, but that always freaked me out. Because I'm like, oh my god.
Its foot just like popped out like the xenomorph from Alien.
No, it wasn't that extreme. But in the comments, one of the people let me know because I don't remember what continuity this was. But and I don't know why I brought that up.
I don't know.
But that always fascinated me when I first heard that concept. So clearly we know that the Saiyans are totally fine with human chicks.
Which is why that line in Tree of Might made me so mad back in episode 1.
Oh, Saiyans never perish or whatever?
No, the one where Gohan realizes that Turles looks like Goku, because at first he gets them mixed up, and Turles has that line where he's like, "Oh, you noticed that I look like your father. Me and him are warriors."
Oh, okay, yeah, you're right. See, that was where so it was that conversation, so this was on recording. Yeah, because I remember you brought that up and you compared it to Man of Steel.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, but it clearly doesn't work that way because there are female Saiyans, and in Man of Steel, they're just like, Kal-El is a fucking mystery.
Right. Okay, so we've gotten so far away from Fusion Reborn it ain't even funny.
Yeah, I know. We should better get into Wrath of the Dragon.
Obviously, we both recommend it. Go check it out.
Oh, definitely. It's really good. It's definitely one of the best.
So let's move on to a movie that I know me and Bill have both been waiting for, because this is the DBZ movie that is also a giant monster movie.
Yes, it is, and it's a pretty good giant monster movie if you take out the DBZ aspects.
I would even argue that you could call the monster in this movie a kaiju. Just by sheer definition and by the virtue of the fact that he's Japanese.
Yes. He also has kind of a similar origin to Gamera too.
Yeah.
Created by a religious cult.
So yeah, let's get into that with Wrath of the Dragon.
This movie's fucking awesome.
This movie is fucking awesome. This movie is amazing.
Another one that can kind of work in continuity because it definitely takes place after the Buu Saga.
And Goku's alive.
Goku and Vegeta are both alive.
So it works.
Yeah, it totally works.
It's got Great Saiyan Man in it, 1 and 2.
Yeah. I found it a little weird that Videl was going around calling herself Great Saiyan Man 2. Emphasis on the fact that she's calling herself a man.
Couldn't she be called Great Saiyan Woman?
Or Great Saiyan Girl, if she didn't want to be called man. I mean,
maybe she wanted to be taken more seriously.
Oh, in this Japanese culture where Chi-Chi is like the most disrespected person ever.
Well, to quote Guy from You Only Live Twice, in Japan, men come first, women second.
And then Gorzard snapped the pencil out of sheer rage.
Yes.
Just out of sheer jealousy.
Well, that's an inside joke, so instead of alienating the audience, let's talk about Wrath.
No, I think we brought that up on recording once. I think that was in the second SOS podcast we brought that up.
Oh, was it?
I think so. I mean, if someone listened to it more recently than we have, please bring it up. But I think we said that on recording. If not,
Yeah, because I haven't listened to it.
Everyone knows Gorzard's thing with Asians, so
I haven't listened to it since you posted it. So,
I haven't listened to it since I edited it. So,
but yeah, Wrath of the Dragon. This is amazing.
Yeah.
Two concepts are introduced in this that just make the movie. You could have it as a movie without any of the Dragon Ball Z stuff. The idea of the giant monster who's called Harudagarn,
right,
and the idea of Tapion.
right, Tapion, who looks like a Kai but isn't.
Yeah, looks like a Kai, isn't a Kai.
He's some kind of other. He's an alien race from the South Galaxy, though, so we know that he's far away.
So I know we haven't really been doing an emphasis on telling people the plot for the most part during these, but I think with this one we probably need to explain the plot.
Yeah, a little bit. So this red dude shows up. Okay, so for the first scene in the movie, is oh, it's the kid dying. The Tapion's brother.
Yes. This red guy. Okay, so Great Saiyaman 1 and 2, whatever. Rescue this red guy who is about to commit suicide, supposedly, or that's what he makes it look like. And we find out later on that he's some sort of like space wizard, so it's kind of ripping off Bobbity in that way, but not really.
Well, he's more of a space Ku Klux Klan member.
Yeah, more along those lines. Although there's definitely some mystical aspects to it.
Oh, he's definitely some kind of a wizard. I mean, they say that it's like it's almost like a voodoo cult.
Yeah. Okay. So he has them gather the Dragon Balls and use them to release this warrior named Tapion, who is amazing.
He's awesome.
Who was locked in this music box. And
it's DBZ. Just go with it.
Yeah. After they do that, Tapion isn't very happy about it, and they don't know why, but he's not very happy that they let him out of the box. And he goes off to be all solitary. Trunks develops this kind of fascination with him that's similar to Gohan's fascination with Piccolo.
Very much so, yeah.
And then this giant monster, although it's weird because it's just the legs, starts showing up and like going on rampages. And
it's accidentally hilarious just because it's just these giant pairs of legs walking around.
Yeah. So to skip into the actual explanation, since I don't want to give a play-by-play of the plot, what we find out is that the red guy was this evil, like, space wizard, who comes from the same... Is it the same planet that Tapion's from, or is it just like...
No. They're from a different planet. They go there... Because Harudagarm isn't even from their world. He's from Tapion's. What they do is they go to Tapion's planet.
Oh, yeah, I remember this.
To find a better way of... Because their whole shtick is they commit their genocide. They want to commit genocide because it's the same thing as the Daleks. They're trying to purify the world.
Yeah, they're basically like Daleks in that they're pretty much space Nazis. I remember this now. It's like this weird religious cult from some other planet that wants to eradicate all other life forms in the universe, and to do so, they wake up this ancient monster that was on Tapion's planet called Harudagarn.
Yeah, which is where the Gamera parallel comes in. Because he was mystically formed and locked away in stone.
So this
yeah.
So this wizard that was on Tapion's planet creates a magic flute. Is it a flute?
2 magic flutes.
Or are they ocarinas?
They're ocarinas. Yes, you're right. They're ocarinas.
They're not the ocarina of time, but they are ocarinas.
Right. Precisely. And what they do is they explain that Harudagarn is weakened when he's... So kind of like Janemba, whenever he's attacking, he's weakened.
Right.
So that's when he's weak. So what this wizard does is he cuts Harudagarn in half and puts both halves of Harudagarn inside of Tapion and his brother.
And then to prevent Harudagarn from getting out, that's why he seals them in the music boxes and scatters them across the universe. So the evil red guy has already found Tapion's brother and killed him, and that's why the legs are walking around. The evil wizard already has control of the legs. And the top half of Harudagarn is locked inside Tapion. And now that he's outside the music box, he can't stop it from getting out. They try this thing where Bulma makes like a fake room that's supposed to replicate the effects of the music box,
which doesn't work at all.
It doesn't work, and eventually by the end of the movie we get full-grown Harudagarn. And then from that point on, it's basically a fight scene because all DBZ movies are just building up to a fight scene anyway. And Harudagarn has this epic transformation, and then Goku finishes him off with the Dragon Fist.
Now here's my biggest problem with this movie. Goku should not have been the hero.
No, they should have had Tapion finish him off.
Either Tapion, Trunks, or Gohan.
Or all three of them.
Right, because I was really happy with how little screen time Goten gets, because I find him annoying. Trunks I find fine, especially in this case, because he goes through a character arc.
Yeah, he's a little annoying, like in Broly's Second Coming and Bio Broly, but in this movie he's not as annoying at all because he's more of a serious character in this. Really, I mean, he's still got the same personality, but they don't just have him there to flip off the villain.
Yeah, exactly. He has a character development because he goes through this arc of the fact that he was an only child, and when Vegeta's your dad, you're kind of lonely. Because Bulma's always off in the lab, and Vegeta's Vegeta. So, I mean, there's a line in this that implicates that him and Bulma don't even sleep in the same house.
Yeah.
Which I find kind of fucked up. Whatever. Their marital status is their business.
As far as we know, they've only slept together once.
As far as we know. Well, twice if you count Bola.
Yeah, but she wasn't around by this point.
Right. Yeah, fair enough.
And I like to not count GT at all possible, but...
Yeah, but she's in Z too, at the end.
Oh yeah, at the very end she is, isn't she? I always forget about all the stuff that they introduced, like in that last episode.
Yeah, it's funny because it's actually pretty good. With the stuff with Oob, it's fairly good. It's a little derivative of the early Buu saga, but it's still entertaining. And Goku's stuff is good.
Yeah.
But Wrath of the Dragon, I don't think Goku should have been the hero because he has so little screen time before that fight.
He doesn't have much to do with this movie. Like, as far as the plot, until the very end when he comes in to be the hero. Honestly, you could have got away with not even having him in it. I know, it's a DBZ movie, you always have to have Goku in it, but honestly, and I know continuity is not to be taken for this anyway, but they could have set this, like, when he was off training Oob.
Yeah, but then, you would have had to have Trunks as a teenager, so...
But you still could have had him idolizing Tapion, it just wouldn't...
Yeah, but it's more charming when he was a young kid, I think. If he was a teenager, it would be a little weird. Because he could be off getting pussy, so...
Fair enough. I mean, as a child, it's like, wow, Tapion, and he has this sort of same relationship with that Gokan had with Piccolo. If he was a teenager, you would have to write it more like, ooh, he's a badass, he's got a sword.
Yeah, because I like it better when he's an adult or when he's a kid because it's a lot more unquestioning.
Yeah.
If Trunks was like the same age he is in History of Trunks, or even because it's funny, Trunks has that relationship with Gohan in the other universe.
Yes, and we'll get to that
in the next video. But in this one, we find out where Trunks got the sword. Now, don't think too hard about the time stuff because you'll hurt yourself. But
wibbly wobbly, timey wimey.
Yeah, because technically what happens in this movie should not happen in the other universe.
Yes, Tapion gives Trunks his sword. So, first of all, it doesn't work because Trunks never has a sword in GT, and I know I don't like to count GT, but in this case I'm going to.
Yes, he does.
He does?
Yes, he does. Yes.
But he goes around in the universe with little Goku and Pan, and he never uses it.
But he uses it a couple times. Okay, I'm not going to criticize you for it because it's GT.
Right.
But B, he uses it so fucking rarely, but he does use it.
Oh, okay. Well, at least I didn't think his hair was silver.
Oh, fuck you! His hair is silver.
It's not.
Fuck you.
No, but okay. But
Fucksucker.
And it definitely doesn't work because in the other universe, this would not even be happening.
Well, because the androids attacked long before this. Like, at least 10 years before this. And also, if this happened in the other universe, Hirudegarn would have destroyed the world because in this movie, Goku defeats him, and Goku would have been dead.
Right.
So, don't think too hard about it. Just take it as this is the sword that Trunks was using earlier on in DBZ, and don't think too much about it because you're going to hurt yourself.
Because I know a lot of times I'll sit and think about what happens when the Buu saga happens in the other universe, and you guys, I know everybody loves future Trunks, but he's fucked.
Yep.
So
because you can't have the later DBZ stuff. I mean, maybe we're supposed to assume that the androids stopped all that from happening, but with Hirudegarn, I mean, that's what the fucking sword is. So, and he uses that in that saga. So it's kind of stupid.
Right.
Anyway.
But again,
aside from that,
DBZ movie continuity's fucked.
yeah, exactly.
So let's talk about the villain, whatever his name is.
Whatever his name is.
Little red dwarfy guy.
Other big problem. All the Z fighters come off as fucking retarded, except for Videl.
Yeah, you can't tell this guy's evil. I can tell this
How
guy's evil
the
from a mile.
fuck do they not know he's evil?
This is the most evil, just looking motherfucker. Like,
also, Goku is not this stupid in this continuity.
no.
He believes that this dude is from Earth.
When they're using
He's very clearly in it. Or Gohan does too, and Gohan's a fucking scientist.
yeah, he actually is a scientist.
It's like, what?
So it's like, that was a reference that people won't get. Okay, before the video, we watched this funny video where Vegeta claimed that Bardock was a scientist.
He was a brilliant scientist.
Okay, so now everybody has context for that. But, and
yes.
does nobody notice that when they're using Shinron to open the music box, he is standing over there with this evil expression on his face? He's
maniacally giggling to himself. And clearly what they're about to do is going to fuck everyone over. It is bad writing. I'm just downright bad writing.
Yeah. It's
especially with Gohan, because Gohan is a fucking scientist.
They should be able to tell that he's an alien, or at least, because demons do exist in this universe, they should think he's a demon, in which case they wouldn't trust him anyway.
At the very least, they should not think he's a fucking good guy.
Right.
The other thing we forgot to mention about the plot is that the only time the different parts of Hirudegarm come out of Tapion and his brothers when they're sleeping.
Right. So it's got this.
We forgot to mention that part, but
this cool little like Freddy Krueger thing going on, where like Tapion's trying not to fall asleep.
Right, and if he falls asleep long enough, Hirudegarm could come out all the way, and even if he wakes up, he still stays out. Mm-hmm. Also, the scene where Hirudegarm comes out of Tapion when he's sleeping is awesome, because he just comes out, scares the shit out of you, and just wrecks that warehouse.
Yeah. Since we've talked about the villain, let's talk about the monster. I really like Hirudegarm.
He is really cool. He's really freaky looking. He looks like a mix between a demon and Godzilla. He almost looks like the demon version of Godzilla.
Yeah. Yes. My God, we need a crossover. In his first form, he's basically, I don't know how to describe the way his body looks, but he has a skull for a head.
Yes, and the body, a similar body type to Godzilla, except he doesn't have spines. His feet look exactly like Godzilla, so when he first slams his foot down, when I was a kid, I was like, what?
Is this a crossover?
I got really excited, and I was very let down.
And then,
the movie was still good, but I was like, oh.
And then in his second transformation, he's this big golden insect thing with these horns. The body kind of looks like Cell.
Yeah, the wings look a little bit like Megalon.
Yeah, it's basically Cell's body with Megalon's wings.
Yeah, and the head looks pretty much the same.
Yeah.
It's not as skull looking, but it's pretty much the same head design. And it beats the shit out of the Z fighters.
Oh yeah, because he's also got this really cool ability that he can turn his body into mist. So when they try to hit him, he just sort of turns into fog and they go right through him.
Yeah, there's also a really good character moment for Vegeta in that fight. Vegeta's barely in this movie, but when he is in it, he's a badass. And he doesn't get to do a lot in terms of fighting Hirudegarm, but his best scene is he gets thrown into a building, and Hirudegarm is coming at him. And there's a bunch of people in the building, and he blocks it with a shield. It just shows how far his character has come. I was like, that's awesome.
Yeah. So yeah, Hirudegarm's a great monster.
Yep.
As people who talk about monster movies often, we can both agree that this is a really good monster, and I mean, it feels like a DBZ movie. This movie definitely feels like a DBZ movie, but at the same time,
it does feel like a monster movie.
Having the giant monster in there is just so. It's really surreal the first time you watch it.
That, and also the way Tapion talks about Hirudegarm. He sounds like the same way someone talks about Godzilla.
Yeah, because Hirudegarm, when he was first, on the planet, on Tapion's planet, he just, I don't know what his origins are because they never really tell you what his origins are, but
They make a brief mention of him being some kind of demon, but who the fuck knows?
he hunts Tapion's people, like almost down to extinction. He's just like original Gojira in that he's out to kill these people.
I think they make a mention of using their flesh as a power source. I think something like that.
Yeah, something. He feeds on them definitely. We see him feeding on people.
Yeah.
And like sapping.
Do like these like weird like organic like tubes that come out of his torso.
Yeah.
Now that music, that tune from the ocarina, it's fucking catchy as shit.
Oh yeah. It really is.
It's really beautiful too. So it makes sense that that's the thing that's stopping Hirudegarm. Now here's the thing: they don't hurt him. What they do is they make him attack, and that's when he's weakened, which is a really cool weakness. It's really weird. When he's showing his strength, he's weak, and I find that interesting.
Well, it's because of that ability that he has that I mentioned, where like whenever they try to hit him, his body becomes mist. Whenever he's attacking, he stays solid, you know.
Right.
So that's pretty much the only time that they can get a hit in.
Mm-hmm.
Gotenks shows up in this fight
for like 2 seconds.
But it's an awesome 2 seconds.
Yeah. I love how Goku yells at him.
Right.
That was hilarious. Goku is he doesn't have a lot of screen time in this movie, which is weird because there's a lot of characters in this movie. Because it's the entire Dragon Ball Z cast plus the new characters, which is packed.
Yeah. See, and that's one of the reasons why I agree with you when you said that either Tapion or Trunks or Gohan should have killed the monster, or all of them, because the movie follows them.
Goku is so in the background in this movie. He's kind of just there to lend advice of a classic hero.
All the other Z fighters are really in the background, and see, it's made even worse when you have the scenes of like the giant legs attacking the city, and only the two Saiyamen are trying to stop it. And I'm like, where are all the other Z fighters? Do they just?
I mean, it makes sense because that's their job, but don't make Goku the final hero if he's not gonna be saving people the whole movie.
Right. He shows up during that last fight and whoops ass because he's Goku. And if he doesn't...
And Super Saiyan 3. His Super Saiyan 3 dialogue is awesome.
Because if he doesn't, who will?
Exactly. Well, I mean, there are plenty of people in this movie. He just happens to be the one who does it first.
And actually says the line, if I don't, who will? How conceited.
Yeah, how fucking conceited is he? Yeah, that was a little weird.
Guess I'm gonna save y'all again.
Now, here's the thing. There's another concept from this movie that's put into GT. The Dragon Fist is never used in the show.
No.
It's used in GT in a big moment when Goku is fighting Omega Shinron. And it's done in the same animation. Goku launches this mega attack, which is essentially this energy-comprised dragon shooting from his fist.
Yes, it's one of the coolest attacks in all of DBZ ever.
It's really awesome. And this is the first time and last time it was done in canon.
They had a similar thing back in Dragon Ball, but it wasn't.
It was just called Dragon Fist.
Yeah, and it wasn't it wasn't an energy dragon. Whenever he would, it's what he used to defeat King Piccolo. You know, he flies at him with the punch, and you see the Uzaru behind him. So I guess the idea.
Yeah, so it's not even a dragon. It's just it's Uzaru punch.
Yeah, it's basically like he's channeling the like primal energy inside of him that comes out when he becomes Uzaru, somehow channeling that into his fist.
Right, exactly.
So it's kind of like that idea, but way cooler.
Exactly. We need to see Uzaru fight Shinron or something. That would be awesome.
Amazing.
Exactly. Oh my god, one of the Uzarus fighting Hirudegarm.
Why did that not happen?
I don't know. They should have let Goten and Trunks keep their tails just for that sheer awesomeness.
Right. You could have had a legit giant monster fight in this movie.
Yep.
It could have happened.
They didn't do it. It's a shame.
It's like we never have two Uzarus on screen at the same time. They never give us two Uzarus fighting.
Yes, they do. Not fighting, but they do show more than one on screen at once.
No, I mean, well, yeah, I shouldn't have worded it that way.
That's okay.
What I meant to say is we never see like two Uzaru throwdown. Like, how cool would that be?
Yeah, it almost happened in the Vegeta saga too, because Vegeta fights Goku as an Uzaru and beats the fucking shit out of him, and then he loses his tail, and then Gohan turns into an Uzaru and fights Vegeta.
And if he had only done that a little sooner, I mean,
if he would have been there a little sooner, we could have had an Uzaru fight, and that would have been awesome.
and I mean, you couldn't have done that because Vegeta as an Uzaru would have kicked Gohan as an Uzaru.
Oh yeah, totally. But just for the sheer value of it. Well, it would have worked because what if just they had cut off Vegeta's tail mid-fight?
Yeah, see, that's what I was about to suggest. You have Vegeta take down Goku, and then or Gohan turns into an Uzaru and interrupts him before he can break all of Goku's ribs.
Exactly.
They fight, and then
it destroy my childhood.
In the middle of the fight, when Vegeta is about to finish Gohan off, that's when you have Yajirobe come in and cut off his tail, and then you have him shrink back down, and then it's like, oh fuck, because then Gohan is standing over him.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
It would have been great.
It would have been awesome. And they didn't fucking do it.
You're a Toriyama, you
also,
asshole.
why don't we ever see Goten and Trunks with tails?
I don't know. We mentioned this in one of the other videos. I just assumed that their moms wanted to avoid giant monkeys, and so they cut them off.
But it's like, but we see Goten as a baby in the credits of one of the movies, and he doesn't have a tail then. And we see Trunks as an infant and he never has a tail.
Maybe they cut him off as soon as they came out.
I guess, but
the thing is, Pan never had a tail, but she was only 1/4 Saiyan. They're half. They should have one.
Yeah, but even then, like, Goku Jr. can go fucking Super Saiyan, so why the fuck doesn't he? And he doesn't have a tail either. It's like, if he can go Super Saiyan, he should have a fucking tail.
Yeah. I agree. It's just weird decisions that they made.
Yeah, totally. Anyway, so this movie's awesome. I don't like the ending.
Yeah, and another thing I wanted to bring up real quick and just sort of criticize a little bit. The animation in this one is a real step down from Fusion Reborn.
Yeah. It's... The stuff on Tapion's homeworld is great. All the stuff at night looks really good. The final action scene is lazy.
It looks like the budget got cut quite a bit because the animation in Fusion Reborn was arguably some of the best in the entire series.
Yeah, it was even on par with World's Strongest, which I think has the best.
And this is just such a step down. When you watch this movie, you notice immediately how it's kind of returned to the way they looked in the first couple movies in a way, because it's gritty in that way.
But the animation isn't polished at all like it was in the cooler movies. It's lazy.
Exactly. Yeah. It's...
And my biggest problem, and I said this to you off recording, Goku just shows up as a Super Saiyan 3.
Right.
We don't see him transform at all. It's so lazy. Because Hirudegarm has his back turned, and when he turns back around, Goku's just a Super Saiyan 3. Doesn't even have the energy around him.
Nope. He's just a Super Saiyan 3. And
yeah, so that was my biggest problem with it. Yeah, the animation is a big step down from the last couple movies.
Yeah, definitely. It's not the worst, I don't think.
No, not at all. I think the worst is probably... It might even be Return... It's either Return of Cooler or Tree of Might.
Yeah. But yeah, it is definitely a step down, and it's very noticeable, especially if you're like us and you've been talking about these movies all week.
Yeah. But if you have, you got a fucking life. No.
Right?
Yeah. Who the fuck talks about Dragon Ball Z for days upon days and days?
Who does
what?
Who does that sort of thing? Who takes an entire week and devotes it to a fictional universe?
Or who takes a whole month and devotes it to a fictional character? Who fucking idiot does that?
Right, losers.
Fucking idiots.
Retards.
I wasn't gonna go that far. Anyway, I like this movie.
Yeah, I like it as well, and we had a lot more to criticize about it than we did with the last one, but it's still a really good movie.
Oh, right, the ending. Oh, the ending. It's so generic, and it sucks because Tapion goes through this arc of with Trunks of accepting him as his brother. It would have been so much more powerful if he would have died.
Right, and we know they have the balls to do it because in History of Trunks, Goku.
They fucking kill Gohan.
Gohan fucking dies in that movie. You guys.
Yeah, and and on-screen child death in this movie. So what the fuck?
Yeah.
There's no reason that Tapion shouldn't die. It would be so much more powerful. He just flies away in a random spaceship Bulma happens to have.
Yep, it would have been so much more dramatic if he had died during the battle with Rudorgon, or even died winning the battle, like he had to sacrifice himself in some way.
Wouldn't that have been so much better? Instead of just letting Goku do it again?
You know what would have really sucked though is if they if they had him do the exact same thing, except after he flies away in the spaceship, he just gets hit by a meteor or something.
It just explodes. Almost like, oh, thank God he can't sue. Oh, because we don't have liability insurance.
Right.
Yeah, it's weird.
Who needs liability insurance for a spaceship? If it messes up, nobody's gonna sue.
No, not at all. Yeah, I enjoy this movie. The ending's a little generic. It's a little bit too quick. It just kind of wraps up in less than a minute after Goku kills Hirudegarm. And the music score for this one's not great either. It's very, very simple.
Yeah. It doesn't really feel like DBZ music.
No, not at all. It feels a lot more like Kai, which is not a good thing.
No. There are parts of it where I think the score is trying to sound like an actual monster movie, you know? Like it almost is trying to sound like...
Yeah, a little bit. It sounds a little Ifukube-ish in the middle there. It doesn't really succeed in doing anything special. But I do still enjoy this movie a lot. Definitely one of my favorites.
Yeah, watch it just for the sheer joy of seeing a giant monster in a Dragon Ball Z movie.
Yeah, it's a legit kaiju, I would say.
I mean,
I would put it in the ranks of a kaiju. It just happens to be in a Dragon Ball Z movie.
I mean, we had Uzaru before, and we had giant Janemba, but this is a giant monster. This is what the end of Bio Broly should have been.
Yeah, this thing could be in Pacific Rim.
This thing could be in Pacific Rim. That would be amazing.
Oh man, imagine this one of the Jaeger shows up in the middle of the fight.
Oh god, I had to ask you this just because they just uploaded it today. Have you seen how it should have ended for Pacific Rim?
No, not yet. I haven't watched it yet.
Oh my god, dude. When they're underwater and he's like, okay, there's a Category 5 kaiju coming. It's Godzilla.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Fuck, I gotta watch it now.
And they put in the Power Rangers and they also put in Voltron.
Oh my god, that's awesome. Anyway.
Yeah. So, I think we're done with Wrath of the Dragon, but this episode is not over yet, everybody.
Not yet. Because
there is one more movie that is not technically a DBZ movie, it's actually technically a GT movie, of all things. It's kind of fitting because we've been complaining about GT a lot in this video.
Yeah.
With the Dragon Ball GT movie, Hero's Legacy, is it called?
Something like that. It's either a hero's journey or a hero's legacy, something along those lines. It's about a hero.
Yeah, I think it's Legacy, and I wasn't going to include this one because again, it's not Z, and we haven't done the Dragon Ball ones for obvious reasons. But Bill suggested we do it, and I had never seen it before. So, Bill, since it was your idea, why don't you give the people a kind of introduction, an introduction to this movie, what it is and what it's about, and all that good stuff.
Okay, so Dragon Ball GT: A Hero's Journey is the only feature-length film to be made out of the Dragon Ball GT franchise, because it sucked.
Indeed.
Now...
Which, let me say right now, this is the best thing that has the GT logo on it.
Oh, absolutely. Without a shadow of a doubt, this is the best thing that ever came out of that fucking show.
The surprising thing about Dragon Ball GT: A Hero's Journey or Legacy or whatever it is people, it's good. It's
really good. Now, here's the thing. It's a movie that isn't about Dragon Ball GT, and I think that's what makes it good, because nothing of GT is in it except for the very, very end. Now, at the end of Dragon Ball GT, after Goku goes up with Shenron for some weird reason they never really explain, you see a flash forward to Trunks as to Pan as an old woman at the next World's Martial Arts Tournament, where both of her grandfathers were given statues in the arena. Both Goku and Mr. Satan have one. Goku's is bigger. Fuck yes.
Better bet it's bigger.
Yes, indeed.
Mr. Satan didn't save the world from baby.
Fuck no. So what happens is, you see Goku Jr., who's wearing the costume that Goku was wearing in Dragon Ball, about to fight someone. And then we cut over to the right of Pan, and we see someone who looks just like Bulma on the phone, watching the fight. And we're like, the fuck? And it's apparently Bulma's descendant. Now, this is like, I don't know, because Pan's an old woman, and this is Goku's great-great-grandson.
Yeah, in Hero's Legacy, which I think we're supposed to assume takes place before this tournament, because Goku goes...
Yeah, because Goku Jr. goes Super Saiyan, yeah.
Right. This takes place before that tournament, and in this movie, they claim that almost 100 years have gone by. Now, I have a complaint with that we'll get to in a minute, but yeah, almost 100 years have gone by, so that gives you an idea of about how long after GT this is.
Yeah, so which is why the stink of it has worn off.
Indeed, it took 100 years.
And then the thing about that scene is that we meet Vegeta Jr., who comes out and fights Goku Jr., in a scene based on, their rivalry in the show. It's a little bit weird because it really has nothing to do with the ending of GT. It's just kind of cool. And it's also cool because we got basically a compendium of all Goku's greatest moments from Dragon Ball Z, including when he goes Super Saiyan.
Yeah.
Which was awesome. Anyway, so that's the setup. It's the story follows Goku Jr. Definitely takes place before this tournament. And it's essentially, what happens is, Pan wants him to become a great fighter. And now, we don't know who Goku Jr.'s parents are. We're led to assume they're either dead or something. The movie is overall trying to recapture the spirit of the original Dragon Ball.
Which it does. Which it does very well.
It does very, very well. And how they do this mainly is through the fact that, a character who's kind of Goku's descendant is living with their grandparent instead of their parents. It's just that this time I think we're supposed to assume that Goku Jr.'s parents are either away or something or dead. I would say dead because it seemed like Goku Jr. lives with Pan 100% of the time.
Right, and in terms of tone, it definitely feels like classic Dragon Ball because while it does take itself seriously at points when the story requires it to, overall it doesn't take itself overly seriously. No,
there's a lot of comedy in it, and it's very, very dark too, which was surprising. There's a lot of magic stuff in it. Obviously, you have the Dragon Balls themselves, but what they did with them in this movie was awesome. This movie is just really, really great in how they handle Goku Jr.'s character. It's a movie all about childhood innocence and discovering one's own power. And here's how they do this. So, Pan is trying to convince Goku Jr. to be a great fighter, but he has no interest in fighting whatsoever, and he's kind of picked on at school, in classic superhero fashion. And he has to go on a journey.
Indeed.
Because Pan...
Actually, I was kind of worried when I was watching it because just having a character named Goku at school getting picked on by bullies reminded me of Evolution.
Yeah. But it's done a million times better.
Yeah.
Because A, it's not actually Goku, and B, he's a kid, not a teenager.
Right.
So, in this movie, Goku Jr. has to go on a journey because Pan gets really, really sick, and he can't take care of her. So, he goes on a journey to look for, Now, here's the thing. Pan tries to tell him about the Dragon Balls, but he doesn't listen to her. He's playing video games. And so he thinks that you only need one Dragon Ball in order to summon the dragon and make a wish. So he spends the whole movie trying to go to Mount Powell's, where Goku's old house is, because that's where the 4-star Dragon Ball has always been, because that was the ball that Goku's grandpa had. So that's basically the premise, and he meets a bunch of kooky characters along the way, some of which become his friends. Again, same thing. A lot of his enemies become his friends, just like original Goku.
Indeed, one in particular. There's a bully that we see early on who becomes basically his best friend.
Right, and they go on the journey together to Mount Powell's. I forget why he's on the run for some reason. Is he like running away from home or something? I don't remember.
No, he just sort of says that he wants to come along with Goku. They really don't give you much more of an explanation than that.
Yep.
He's kind of a troublemaking kid, and so when he sees this kid Goku, who he's always considered like a dork, running off on this epic adventure, he wants to go with him.
Right, exactly. So they go on this journey. They meet a bunch of animals, kind of Dragon Ball-esque. I think there's even a scene with wolves in it right out of the original Dragon Ball.
Yeah.
You've got bears, and then in typical and even more Dragon Ball fashion, you've got a witch.
Right. Because there are these demons in the forest on the way to Mount Pao, or Pals, or whatever it's called.
Whatever.
There are these demons. One of them is this witch woman thing. One of them is a lizard.
Yeah.
And then one of them is a chicken.
Yeah.
And then at the end, he has a final battle with this big demon called Lord Yao or something.
Lord Yao, yeah.
Who I just like to refer to as Ganon, because he looks like Ganon from Zelda.
Yeah, he looks exactly like Ganon.
He's basically Ganon.
He is basically the same character.
That's 2 Legend of Zelda references in this episode.
Wow, we have to cut those out. Oh, no. Dylan, you must edit those out. I do not want those in there.
I'm not editing them out. I don't edit anything out of the middle. I just trim the ends.
Laziness for the win.
Because what the people at home don't realize is there's always this awkward moment at the beginning of the recording where I don't know what I'm going to say.
Yep. It's even more awkward because Dylan isn't the one recording these. I am.
Yeah. Well, we just have better audio that way.
Yeah, precisely. But this movie is really, really good.
Yeah, the thing that's good about this movie is that it succeeds where the show failed. The show wanted to try and recreate the feeling of Dragon Ball. But the problem, that's the whole reason that they made Goku into a kid. But they fail at that because then they also have all this DBZ type stuff going on. Because
here's the thing. They wanted the adventure of Dragon Ball, but the fights of Dragon Ball Z. And you cannot do both and let it work.
It doesn't work that way. And they kind of do the same thing a little bit in this, but to a much lesser extent. And
oh yeah, totally. I mean, there's one end fight, but even then, it's very Dragon Ball-esque.
Yeah, exactly. You can't have both.
Mm-hmm.
You just can't. It's got to be either Dragon Ball or Dragon Ball Z. And Dragon Ball GT tried to be in this weird middle ground area, and that's one of the big reasons why it falls apart.
Now here's the thing.
This movie does not have that problem.
It doesn't most of the time. It has it in one aspect. Goku Jr. goes Super Saiyan.
Yep, that's kind of a problem. We were talking about this before we started recording. He really doesn't have much of a reason to turn into a Super Saiyan.
Not at all. It takes intense training to become a Super Saiyan. Now, Goten and Trunks fucked with that, but they at least were fighters.
Right. B, in the case of the first Goku, and in most cases, it usually takes some sort of, like, emotional trigger.
Right, exactly.
In this, he turns into a Super Saiyan because Ganon's about to hurt a bear.
Now, they do develop this bear to be Goku's friend. That's not the problem with it. In terms of emotional status, he does have a reason to go Super Saiyan because he thinks his best friend is dead, his grandma's dying. So there's the reason there. But
that's the thing. It usually takes an actual death, like, in front of the person to, like, trigger it, you know? And
I mean, Goku, all of his friends except for his son were killed in front of his eyes before he went Super Saiyan.
Exactly. There's just so much more justification in that case. And in this case, Ganon hasn't even... I'm just going to call him that from now on. Ganon hasn't even killed the bear.
Yeah, exactly. If he had at least hurt the bear, that would be different. Then I think... But again, there is no reason that this kid should have the body that could withstand a Super Saiyan transformation.
Yeah. Here's the thing. Pan never goes Super Saiyan, and I just always assumed that she couldn't. So, because I guess...
I call sexism on that.
Because I guess the genes just... My thought was, okay, the genes are watered down by this point. She's only 1/4 Saiyan. How much Saiyan is Goku Jr.? He should not be able to...
If you do the math, he's 1/8 Saiyan.
1/8.
How the fuck can he turn into a Super Saiyan? Wouldn't it have made a lot more sense if he turned into an Uzaru?
Yeah. Cause
just let him have a tail.
Have this battle take place at night, give him a tail from the beginning, and have him turn into an Uzaru and beat up Ganon.
Because Super Saiyan because it's the only thing in the entire movie that is from Z and not from Dragon Ball.
Yeah. I mean, throughout the movie, he has these moments where he displays energy powers that are way above anything that was in Dragon Ball.
Right.
What?
Of course, yeah, and that's fine because because Goku learned these abilities and passed them on to his children, so they would know it from an earlier age than he did.
Right,
I'm
and he
totally
doesn't.
fine with having the Kamehameha and these energy blasts.
And
Super Saiyan is way too far.
and the thing is, they don't even do it like him doing it consciously in battle. It's always like when he's in danger, his powers just kind of activate.
Again, but here's my problem. The Saiyans were, okay, he's not Kryptonian.
Right.
They're treating his powers like Kryptonian powers and not like Saiyan powers. In Dragon Ball Z, the powers are not there naturally, you have to learn them. Goku could not naturally use the Kamehameha. He couldn't naturally turn into a Super Saiyan. These were things he had to train to do. Now, Super Saiyan is different because he had to train his body to a certain extent where it could withstand the transformation, and where his power level was about to burst, essentially, and where it got the increase.
Yeah, because the way it works in DBZ is anybody can use energy attacks. It's just some races are better at doing it than others. Like
Well, no, they have to learn how to do it. Videl learns how to do it.
Right, with humans, like you have Krillin and Yamcha and all them, they had to learn how to do it, like, intensely. Saiyans seem to be able to use it a lot more easily, but they still have to learn specific techniques.
Yes, Saiyans are born as a warrior race, but they're conditioned that way. They still have to be trained. They're not Kryptonian. Superman had never had to be trained to have powers. He just had them. He had to be trained how to use them properly, but he didn't. He had them always. He could always use his heat vision.
Other than the enhanced strength, everything else with Goku had to be learned.
Yeah, the enhanced strength is different. They have that naturally, but and that's just because of the virtue of the more prominent primate gene.
Mm.
With Goku Jr., he should not. It's such a weird Superman-esque thing, and I suppose again, Dragon Ball GT was made with a much more American audience in mind. I think that's why it has a lot of the problems that it has. This movie doesn't have that as much, except in that strangely Smallville-esque way.
Right.
Now, it's not terrible. I don't mind the energy attacks. It's the Super Saiyan that bothers me.
Yeah.
I really wish this kid didn't go Super Saiyan.
I agree. To bring up another little criticism I have with it, and this is just from a standpoint of it, a logical standpoint, it just didn't make sense to me. They should be a lot more technologically advanced in this. Because
right?
in DBZ, the technology is advanced by our standards. They have flying cars. They have the capsule technology. DBZ is...
They have fucking dinosaurs running around?
Yeah, well, if we assume they did it Jurassic Park way, that would be a testament to the technology.
Well, you do. Oh, you do see dinosaurs in Dragon Ball, though.
Yeah, you do.
I guess not.
So, yeah, technology is advanced. And this is supposed to be almost 100 years in the future.
Yeah.
And it seems less advanced. He hitches a ride with the trucker, and it's not a flying truck.
It should be all fucking like... This should be like Batman Beyond for Dragon Ball Z.
It should. This is 100 years. How did this society get so advanced if their technology progresses this slowly?
Yeah, it's not a utopia. It's not like the DBZ world is perfect. Like, this should be like... They should have picked a very different visual style from DBZ. Or Dragon Ball GT. Like, well, here's the thing. Wouldn't it have been cooler to parallel this insane future with the natural beauty of Dragon Ball?
Yeah.
Because when they go into the forest, it makes sense for it to look a lot more like Dragon Ball and for it to look a lot more like traditional. It's the cities that look so modern, and I'm just like, they should look so much more futuristic than this. It should look like Batman Beyond.
Right. It should be a lot more advanced. That was just something that came to me when I was watching it. I was like, they look less advanced than they were in DBZ. Mm-hmm. They shouldn't be that way. I mean,
yep.
Goku's little video game that he's playing looks like a freaking NES or something.
It looks like a fucking Odyssey game. I mean, it's so basic. Yeah, that's a problem for sure. Another thing I really like is I like that he doesn't get to summon the dragon. I thought that was really, really a nice touch and a very human touch. I like that he gets to, it just happens to him because he deserves it. I thought that was a really nice touch, especially for the fact that this is a movie all about a really young kid
Yeah.
who's kind of finding himself.
Yeah, the ending of this, he gets to Goku's house because apparently he's under the impression that you can get your wish granted with only one of the Dragon Balls.
Right.
So this entire movie, he's been looking for one Dragon Ball.
Yeah, so he could never find all 7.
He tries to summon Shinron. It doesn't work, obviously, which this is kind of a logical problem because didn't Shinron leave the Earth and take the Dragon Balls with him at the end of GT?
Yes. Don't worry about it.
Continuity's fucked.
Yeah, but not in this case. I agree with you. How the fuck did the Dragon Balls get back? Well, this is 100 years in the future, and in GT they established the Dragon Balls need 100 years to purify.
If that's the explanation that they had in mind, that's really clever. But at the same time, it was almost like Shinron left because people were getting too dependent on the Dragon Balls. Like I don't think he would come back even after the 100 years.
Well, maybe that was why he took them with him, so that way they could have the time without him having to worry about someone else finding them.
Now it could be that Goku put it there, Goku Senior.
Oh, definitely, because the modern Goku house is gone.
Yes. See, that's the other thing we need to mention about the ending. Goku Senior talks to Goku Junior because obviously at the end of GT, Goku Senior went off with Shinron into the wild.
Yeah, he's not dead. I mean, I guess we're supposed to assume he would have died naturally anyway, but he's not dead.
I mean, I always make
he's kind of a spirit now.
I always make a joke that by the end of DBZ, he's basically a god. By the end of GT, he's a legit god. He
is a legit god. He's immortal and he walks around the earth like a ghost, and he does that in this movie.
Yeah. And he I don't know if he's personally responsible for this, but Pan is no longer ill, which is nice. And Goku Jr.'s friend who fell off a bridge earlier in the movie is alive, which I don't know how he survived. They don't give us an explanation for that, but it's not really
I think we're supposed to assume that Goku saved him and that he just didn't see him.
Yeah, I think that's what we're supposed to assume all around.
And I mean, when I say Goku, I mean Goku Senior.
So,
because we see in BoJack Unbound that he can interject in the middle of a fight without a physical body.
Right. So, other than the logical problem of why Dragon Balls still exist on Earth, I really like the ending.
Yeah, the ending is fantastic. It's a very down to earth Dragon Ball story, which you never get.
Right.
So it's a very realistic Dragon Ball story, which is weird.
All the DBZ movies had a real focus on the struggle against the villain, and while there are villains in this movie, it's really not about them at all. They're just there to add a little extra danger to the story and raise the stakes. It's really all about little Goku Jr. and the journey he goes on.
Yeah, it's almost like it's an internal struggle more than anything, that Goku Jr. is pushing himself to his limits to save his grandma.
Yeah, I think this is the only movie we've reviewed that I can say is a character piece.
Oh, totally, yeah, because everything else is an action story. This is not an action story. It is a character piece about a kid. So it's fantastic in that regard. It's just a really good movie. I would say one of the best of all the ones we've reviewed.
Oh yeah, it is really good, and I was incredibly surprised by that because of just how terrible GT is.
Yeah, this is what GT should have been.
Definitely.
It definitely should have been about this kid.
Because if GT hadn't tried to expand the Goku story and had focused on one of his descendants, it would have been a lot better. Like, imagine if this was the pilot episode for GT.
Yeah.
How much higher would our expectations be going forward? Now, if it was the pilot episode, you would probably have to go back and explain who Pan was, because all we saw her was at the end of Z as a little kid. Or maybe even have, like, Oob be the master. That would be cool. But,
yeah, you wouldn't have to set it this far in the future. They did that to make Pan an old woman. Like, what if it was just Oob?
Yeah, what if it was just Oob? That'd be a better idea.
Or even if Goku was the old man.
Yeah, what if Goku Jr. was Gohan's son?
Or even Pan. Well, yeah, totally. And Goku was just the old man. You just have Roshi be dead, and he's the new master.
Goku's the new turtle hermit.
Yes, totally.
He's chilling out at the Kame house with a turtle shell on his back.
Totally. You just explain that Chi-Chi died, and that he's all alone now because all his kids are off. Explain like, oh, Vegeta's dead, or even if Vegeta's alive, they're not going to be chilling out every day. So I don't know. I think that would be cool. I have this story in mind of Vegeta as an old man, where Goku's dead and he's just kind of the lone defender of the Earth. But I won't talk about that because I like that idea. I want to say it, and I want to say it in another video.
Oh, okay.
But yeah.
Yep. So,
But
so yeah, this is good. Definitely the best thing with the GT label on it is the only GT thing that I feel comfortable recommending to you all.
And you know, yeah, and definitely that's definitely true. But that's almost underselling it. It's one of the best Dragon Ball movies ever made.
I would have to agree with that.
Definitely check it out if you're a Dragon Ball fan.
It's what the actual Dragon Ball movies should have been, because we established that they did movies when it was Dragon Ball and they were terrible.
All of them sucked.
Yeah,
because even worse than DBZ, they were just summations of the show, just straight up. That's just what they were. The first movie is the first couple episodes of the show.
Yep.
Just with a different plot. Curse of the Blood Rubies, and
because in that I get the idea that they weren't trying to make a movie in the same universe as they were trying to like make an adaptation.
Yeah, that's a better word for it. Is they're adaptations. These are movies made in the same canon.
Yep. So
and way better. The DBZ movies are definitely better than the Dragon Ball movies, and the GT movie is some of the best stuff ever.
Yeah, I would put it up there with some of the best DBZ movies that we've talked about. I would put it
Revenge and Broly and
World's Strongest. So yeah, I guess that'll about do it. To sum up our feelings on these, check these all out. All three of these were good. We had a good night tonight.
We had a good night, and then we're going to continue with 2 other good TV specials.
Yes. Okay. So we may be done with the movies, but we're not done yet. I promised you guys 7 episodes, and you're going to get 7 episodes, because next time we are going to talk about the 2 TV specials: Bardock, the Father of Goku, and History of Trunks. So tune in for that.
Indeed.